Hello, you've reached Midnight Gardener. I was going to attempt to quickly talk about some of the soils that I like to use for planting maples and all kinds of different things. There's just a couple plants I have. So, I'll go ahead and get started. The green bag here is Stay Green tree and shrub soil. I've seen different versions of this bag lately. I think they're starting to change the label or brand. I've seen some slightly kind of light blue or baby blue, maybe. I'm not sure what kind of blue it is. I've used this in almost everything that I plant at my house or anyone else's house. It does have a fertilizer in it. The fertilizer is a granule. Is a granule fertilizer. The little green beads that you'll see in there. I like it because it's got a decent amount of organic material in it. It's got a little bit of pine bark in it. There's your fertilizer right there. If I can focus, the green. There we go. So anytime you see fertilizer, there's likely some granules or beads in there that have a chemical fertilizer in them. Excuse me. Normally, I'll use about 50% of this in any planting that I do. I really like Stay Green as far as in-ground plants, trees, all that kind of stuff, especially maples. It's done really well. It drains well. It breaks down well. It turns into it makes your soil better. You can mix it in with the native soil. It seems to be a quality product. The second one is marketed as a soil conditioner, which is just a word that sounds really good. Not all bags that say soil conditioner are going to be the same thing. They're not all going to be pine bark like this one is. This one is almost exclusively pine bark. However, I really have liked it. It's chunky. It's great for clay soils. I live on the very east side of North Carolina, so a lot of what we have is we're on the river or the sound, whatever you want to call it, Pamlico River. So most of our native soil is very sandy and silty. So this helps it kind of keep it from getting compacted. It adds a little bit of body and a little bit of adds a little bit of organic material to it. It's very chunky. It really doesn't have any fine particles. And it's basically just a fine mulch. It's mulch that's been, chopped up one more time, or maybe two more times. It breaks down really fast. It does great in containers, pots. I literally put it in every pot, every in-ground plant, everything I do. It's awesome. It does not have any chemical fertilizer in it, as far as I know. When you buy stuff like this, you really got to look at the label, do some research, and ask questions. For growing maples, as far as I know, you specifically want pine bark. And if you go look in your pot that you just recently bought and have not repotted, you'll see that it's a chunky mix of about 85% pine bark, 80 to 85 pine bark, and then you'll have about 10 to 15% peat moss, which I do not have any right now. I don't really have any pots going. I don't deal with pots very much, as you can see. And then 5% sand or perlite. And that can be a builder's sand, it can be a horticultural sand. You just want a sand that does not have compost in it, which is what this is. This is another one I've been liking lately, although I need to find out what happens in the future before I really say anything. I've been using it for about 6 months, so, and no problems yet, but it drains really well, and it's basically just sand mixed with compost or cow manure. You don't want to put a whole lot of cow manure in the ground directly up under your plants. Whenever I mix them, I have my wheelbarrow over here, and I will mix about 50% of the Stay Green tree and shrub garden soil from Lowe's, and then I'd say about 30 to 35% of the pine bark soil conditioner, and then I'd say about 15 to 20% of the sandy loam topsoil. And that's because of where I live. If you live in places that have clay, you're definitely going to want plenty of this. It breaks down very well and it drains great. I can't really say enough about it. The sandy loam works well for filling in holes in your yard, if you're trying to reseed, really anything so far. I've liked it, and it's hard to find pure sand without having to buy it in bulk and load a trailer with it. But I get these from Lowe's. By the way, I like, you can trust, well, I'm not gonna say that. I like Stay Green when it comes to plants and trees and all that kind of stuff. I like Scott's when it comes to yard, grass related things, or fertilizers. I like this for anything at all. You can mix this in anywhere. And I like to just kind of throw in, you know, a portion of this anytime I'm doing anything. The pine bark is almost in any pot that you will ever buy. You can look in there and it's the exact same thing. It's just pine bark. It's chunky, it drains well, you just can't really go without it. The last thing I'll say is, if you're not sure of what you're buying, always read the label, look it up on YouTube, find out what it is, what the words mean. Also, a couple crucial terms. Soil and mix. A mix is for pots because it's sterile. It has no organic material in it, or it's not supposed to. It's usually just peat moss, perlite, fertilizer. You have to add fertilizer through chemical to be able to fertilize something in a pot. To fertilize something in the ground, you can use chemical, but you could also use just compost. That's your fertilizer. If it says soil on the bag, then it is not meant for a pot. Compost usually does not drain quite as well. That's kind of what it's for. You add a little compost to your sand, and all of a sudden you got a soil or a sandy loam. I think that's basically about it. I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. This is Midnight Gardener. See y'all later.